party for party rocking.
Yeah, bitch.
Limitations on exclusive rights and fair use. Notwithstanding the provisions of Section 106 and 106A, the fair use of copyrighted work, including such use as reproductions and copies, or by phone records, or by any other means specified by that section for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarships, or research. It is not the infringement of copyright. In determining whether the use of a work in a particular case is fair use, the factors to be considered shall be 1. The purpose and the character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and the substantiality of the proportions or the portions used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, and the effect of the use upon the potential market for or the value of copyrighted work. Websuspect Media and the Dinosaur Media would like to remind you that this news report is brought to you free of commercials and any commercial use. The fact that the work is unpublished shall not by itself bar a finding of use if it is such in the made and upon the consideration of all the factors. Limited hangout. The limited hangout or partial hangout is a public relations or propaganda technique that involves the release of previously hidden information in order to prevent a greater exposure of more important details. It takes the form of deception, misdirection, or cover-up, often associated with intelligence agencies, involving a release or mea culpa, that's sort of a I'm sorry, type of confession of only part of a set of previously hidden sensitive information that establishes credibility for the releasing the information who, by the very act of the confession, appears to be coming clean in the act of with integrity, but in actuality, by withholding key facts, is protecting a deeper operation and those who could be exposed if the whole truth came out. In effect, an array of offenses or misdeeds is suspected. This confession admits to a later, lesser offense while covering up the greater ones. Mea culpa is Latin, and it basically means I'm culpable or I'm responsible. Okay, this episode is going to be, in my opinion, questioning a recent article by RT. And again, we see somebody else in the truth/patriot movement with their teeth capped. Now, I don't have any issues with this person, but they red flagged me and came up on my radar. I saw them in Bilderberg, and I actually have to admit they recognized me, and they were at one of the Bilderberg protests 4 years ago, and I didn't recognize them. And the thing is here.
Well, so let's go to RT correspondent Abby Martin. She is live in Chantilly, Virginia, outside of the hotel where the conference is being held. Abby, I see you got your umbrella now. I guess the rain is back. Talk to me.
Well, I mean, she had all that done previously, possibly since the last time we saw her in 2008.
All walks of life here, and you have young kids.
She looks very different. I don't know what you think.
Figuring out what's going on, and it's great to see all generations here kind of exposed to corruption.
Abby, we're glad you flew out from Southern California today.
Yeah, I was in Jersey, and I found out about.
I actually came across this footage because I did a search on Alex Jones, Abby Martin, and RT, and I wanted to see how much Alex Jones interacted with Abby Martin. I know that he's interacted quite a bit with RT, and I was looking for a connection there. But this article I'm interested in particular today is urgent investigate Michael Hastings' death. And the reason why is approximately on June 21st, I'm going to pull up my article. June 21st, I wrote an article titled, "Was Rolling Stones writer Michael Hastings sheep-dipped or Adolf Hitler?" And it's quite a long article. It's about 3 paragraphs long, 2 long and 1 short. And interestingly enough, I cover a lot of questions that came to me involving the Michael Hastings death. Now, the reason why I wrote this article was around the same time Essential Intel. I have a list of non-shills on my friends list. Essential Intel is associated with a former InfoWars insider. For whatever reason, he's well aware of all the shills coming out of the Disinfo News Network and their names. He was saying, "Well, what do you make of this Hastings death?" I said, "I'll have to research it more. I'll do a write-up, and then I'll get back to you." So I wrote up the article, posted June 21st. One of the things I go into was it's a new model Mercedes. In fact, it's a 250. RT discovers this. The engine was blown out across the street. That would not be consistent with an accident. And actually, I withheld information there, and they tried to bring it up in the video, but they didn't know how. Was that the engine was blown out of the car. Now, Hell Wars, aka Vader Time, he said this would be consistent with one of these small missiles they can shoot from a Predator drone. I cite here that I work on cars a little bit as a hobby. I've never heard of this before. I went and researched it, and it happens with older cars. And RT did a follow-up, says they called Mercedes, and they said, this never happens, which they don't work on cars, so they don't know it. I mentioned dental records. They come back and they say the body was cremated. Essential Intel comes back, writes an article about that. Why would you cremate somebody who's already been burned in a fire? He said that was just bizarre. I go into the possibility that he sheep-dipped because people say, well, you know, why would he die like this in a car accident? And it, you know, in my mind it would be to get rid of the evidence, you know, surrounding his death. They mentioned that in the story, not so much. They just say, well, maybe he was sheep-dipped. They have a former. They bring about this former Army officer that he was embedded with in Afghanistan, Staff Sergeant Biggs. I've never really heard of this guy, and I guess that would be normal, but I didn't know Hastings was embedded in Afghanistan. That was something new. That was the only interesting new part of the story that RT brought out that I didn't write about. I explained that it's a cutout. RT doesn't really, they can't get their head around why they would pull Hastings and sheep-dip him. They just report on it. Like I write in my article here, we wouldn't really know. They would just do it, and then later he would be put somewhere else. Like he could pop up writing for another news agency or just a totally different job, or maybe, you know, maybe he was about to be exposed. The thing is if he's sheep-dipped, you don't really know why. And they just, it was interesting. They cover several inconsistencies surrounding the death. The inconsistencies surrounding Hastings' death sort of kind of invites you to research what exactly happened, which is why I wrote this article. Somebody had questions about what happened. Why RT? Like RT gatekeeps, RT, a Russian television gatekeeps to a certain extent. Like when they had dinner with Medvedev and Obama the day after Bilderberg at Ray's Hellburger. I'm just going to come out and say, like, I know exactly where. Well, that Five Guys. There's two places where they like to get burgers, but that was the day after Bilderberg. So that shows a certain level of gatekeeping. If Russian Today is coming out to events like Bilderberg, and then the day after they have a cheeseburger with Medvedev and Obama, they're sort of taking, they sort of play like they're alternative media, and then they sort of take the place of mainstream media. They almost kind of play both sides of the story. But a lot of people conjecture about RT. Just about anybody that you would suspect that's a shill in the truth movement / patriot movement, whatever it is, there are they're doing something with RT, except for the one acquaintance I mentioned. It's like Adam Koch Stash, Narcolice, everybody. My whole thing is I go to an event, I don't want to be photographed a whole lot. I'm stalking around in the background, talking to people, trying to figure out what's going on. I think these people do meet in secret, and they plan wars to get money from the banks to buy weapons contracts. Very little of that gets reported on. As much as I kind of talk out of the side of my mouth about Alex Jones, he does talk about that. Narcolice, he says it's the Catholic Church. It's got nothing to do with the Catholic Church. So, I don't know. What do you think? My blog is websuspect.blog.com. I actually have a name on my blog called the Dinosaur Media. I'm possibly thinking about starting an alternative media company the last year, but I'm not taking funding to do it. I actually worked my way through college, so if I wanted to do it, I could do it for very little money, but I have a lot of family obligations. So this is what I'm doing. In the meantime, is everything is offered for free and done at little cost, like the blogs from websuspect.blog.com and my YouTube channel and a few other little Easter eggs on the internet. And that's why I can criticize these people. I'm just posting my opinion and the facts under U.S. copyright law. Thank you.